Hello everyone, welcome to Aardvark Asks. This is a section where we talk to people in the industry about the career and maybe some advice that they'd like to impart on you. I'm your host Michael Robert, and today I'm talking to Caley Staveley. She's the People Operations Manager at Outerdawn. They're a new and ambitious studio based in Auckland, New Zealand. Hello Caley, thank you for joining me today.
Hi Michael, thank you for having me.
Not a problem. So tell us a bit more about your role at Outerdawn and what a typical day involves for you.
Of course. So I am the only admin staff at Outerdawn, so I end up wearing a lot of hats, which is great. It means I have a lot of variety in my role, and it's really developed and evolved over the past 7 years. So primarily my role is HR, and I cover many facets of HR, so recruitment, onboarding, health and safety, payroll, performance management, health and well-being. Along with that, I do all the building management. I liaise with a lot of contractors, and I do handle a lot of the upgrades. I also run the social activities committee at Outerdawn, and I organize all the events, whether that's big or small. I also handle a lot of accounts, a lot of processing of payments. I've even dabbled with a bit of social media, which is a lot of fun. And I do a lot of behind the scenes sort of things as well. Like I water the plants, and when we work from home, I end up taking every office plant home to look after them because I can't bear to think of, them just sitting there at the office dying. So I've had to fill a lot of gaps because there is only me, and I've really enjoyed it. I'm always open to help where I can. So a typical day for me is that not every day is the same.
Yeah.
There's always something that pops up, and I'm always ready to handle it. And right now I'm actually revamping our office for our return because we're still working from home. So it's a lot of back and forth from the office and at home, while also maintaining all of my tasks. But a lot of the things that I'm doing are a bit of a surprise, so I can't mention that right now in case anyone actually ends up listening. So
it almost sounds like a one-person studio there, Caley. All the stuff that you had, all the hats that you have to wear.
I've become very good at juggling.
Yeah, I suppose you have to. And if anyone is listening, I do recommend you listen to the full studio podcast with Outerdawn. And Caley mentioned that she'd been there for 7 years. So a bit of a shameless plug there. But if you are listening, do please check out the full podcast. Caley, if you wouldn't mind giving us a brief overview of your sort of like career and education background and sort of like what led you to where you are now.
Yeah, so I've been working for about 15 years now, but my career really started once I graduated from AUT. So I have a Bachelor of Business, double major in Human Resource Management, Employee Relations and Marketing. It's a bit of a mouthful. I'm also actually currently studying towards an executive diploma in mediation as well. So I've often worked in a lot of like admin, sort of general admin jobs, and even tried my hand in insurance. And then I stumbled across this job, and it's crazy when I tell people how I sort of started here, because the gravity of how unique it is. It shocks a few people. When I applied and interviewed for the role at Outerdawn, which was originally Artrix, I had no idea that nothing existed. I thought, I'd be joining as sort of like a office admin sort of person, and then there'd already be these people. But when I turned up for my first day to find that there was no one there but me and the CEO, I was like, wow, okay, I'm in for a bit of an adventure, aren't I? But then 7 years later, I'm still here, and, we've got quite a lot of staff now. I've moved office twice. I started in a very small office, and now we've got a pretty cool one, which, like I said, I'm currently revamping. So yeah, it's been quite an experience.
I imagine for you, it's quite a nice thing to see a studio grow from 2 people to where it is now. What kind of has changed in that time? What does it feel weird looking back to from where you started to where you are now?
Well, yeah, because when it was just me and the CEO, who sometimes wasn't there, it was just me in the office. It was very lonely and very empty. And that was for about almost the first year I was alone. And if anyone listens to the next podcast, we mentioned that, Gameloft closed down, and so did a few other studios in New Zealand, sadly. And we were able to bring on board quite a lot of people from those other studios, which sort of was great. It helped really sort of boost our numbers. And because it's a small industry and everyone knows someone, we've always sort of had ties in order to sort of find other people. But it's definitely evolved and grown. I mean, we started out as 1 and we went to 13 and then we got up almost to 30. So we've had pretty good growth rate actually.
And like you said, this is sort of your like first games industry role, and it was quite a shock, telling people about like what kind of happened there. What kind of first got you interested in like the games industry? Was that something you've been interested in before, or was it just kind of like you sort of stumbled into it kind of thing?
I actually just stumbled into it. I actually never considered working in the games industry. When I went to uni, we learnt more about the corporate life, and that's sort of where I started, was in corporate. But I'm a very avid PC gamer myself. And so, it makes sense, doesn't it? Like, why not work in a game studio when you love games yourself? And, that's why when I saw that job ad pop up, I was like, oh, this will be a really cool opportunity. I had no idea what it was actually going to be like. And it's been a pretty, fun adventure to be able to take part in.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I don't know to what extent you enjoyed the corporate lifestyle versus, being in video games, but, video games is always going to be fun, working with such creative people and in what usually is quite a fun environment. So what was like the transition over into games like, sort of obviously from the two separate environments? And do you have any advice for someone aspiring to do something similar to transition into games when they've already got like an established career, for example?
Yeah, well, the games industry is unlike any that I've worked in before. It's very unique and very colourful, and everyone lives and breathes games. And I mean, if you don't love games, I don't really know how you'd want to work for a gaming studio. It sort of goes hand in hand. Games is a very staple part of our daily conversation. It's how we relate and interact with one another when we can share this one thing. I mean, we play games just about every lunchtime. And as soon as it's Friday afternoon, we're playing games again. And, I've never experienced that before. You work 9 to 5 and you go home. But here it's not quite like that. Sometimes we end up staying quite late at the office just playing games, and it's like, why would you want to hang around at the office? But I mean, we're having fun. I mean, one time it wasn't quite an overnight LAN party, but we played until about midnight, and that was a lot of fun. We ordered a whole bunch of food, we had a lot of drinks, and it was a fantastic evening actually. And I don't think you'd really find that in other industries.
I suppose, especially when you have something that not only people work on, but can bond over. I think that's like really nice. You've always, no matter what, you can always have that kind of passion that connects everyone there, and you're always going to have something to do. If you go, if you're in a corporate job or whatever, you might have people that like football or like, maybe video games or anything like that. So it's nice that you've all kind of got that connection. Since joining the industry and joining Outerdawn basically from the beginning, you've been there 7 years now. What's made you stick around after getting into the industry? How come you stuck at Outerdawn for all this time? I
mean, that's a very good question. I see a lot of potential at Outerdawn for great things, and the reason I want to, I've hung around is because I really want to be able to witness that success. Our CEO is a very, like I said, a very ambitious man. He's very generous, and he's really supportive of us. We all agree with his vision for the studio, and we want more than nothing to be able to make that come true for him. And because I've been given this unique opportunity, I sort of want to see it through. We're just, fingers crossed. We're just waiting.
Well, again, another shameless plug for the full podcast. But obviously, you and Gustav were talking about the projects in development and how you've got these two major ones with Goblins of Elderstone and Grimgard both ready to have full release. So I'm sure it's just a matter of time before things really do expand, and especially with you hiring at the moment and stuff, it's just a matter of time. But yeah, talking a bit more about your role in sort of like people operations and stuff like that, for someone trying to get into that specifically in video games, What kind of skills and experience would you recommend them sort of like developing and really honing in on?
Well, as I've said before, it's important to love games. I can't imagine not being in the gaming industry without actually playing and loving games. Every company is very unique in their own way and how they do things. So I might not have very like specific sort of set of or list of like skills or like say software and experience. I think, any HR experience is good, but you've got to have a sort of a softer side, I think. I when I first started in my career, I always wanted to be, a different type of HR person. I think sometimes HR can get a bit of a bad rep. Sometimes we sort of have to be the bad guy sometimes, and I don't like doing that, but I always wanted to sort of have really good working relationships with people, which is why, this industry is so different from everywhere else. And, the loyalty and the dedication that I've really put in has gotten me to where I am now. I mean, I'm now, as you said, I'm the people operations manager. I started as just an HR admin, and I moved to a coordinator, and now, I'm here, and it's great. So the work you put in is what you're going to get out of it.
I suppose that's only heightened by the fact that you work for such a great company for progression and stuff like that. There is definitely companies where hard work does go unrecognised, and I suppose you're a testament for Outerdawn being completely different to that. What's one thing that you wish you knew when you were starting out? Then obviously after 7 years specifically at Outerdawn, and then even longer in your general career life, either from starting in games or your entire career. What is something you wish you knew?
Well, a big part of this unique experience that I've had at Outerdawn is I've learnt a lot of things on the job itself, and I've become very good at being quite adaptive and taking on board a whole range of skills. I mean, I know more about building maintenance than I care to admit. It's great, but the thing I really wish that I had looked into was actually gaining a. I think that's actually getting advice from someone who has been in the industry for a long time. There were days in the past where I felt quite overwhelmed and felt like I really needed guidance. And I think a mentor would really have helped me greatly in that. And another thing that I wish I had done a bit more, which I'm doing a lot more now of, was networking. The industry is very small, so it's sort of easy to be able to sort of network with people. But I felt like a very small fish in a big ocean when I first started, and I've been able to sort of gather a bit of a network of people, especially with people that are already at Outerdawn who know a lot of people in the industry. I think if you really want to know the ins and outs of this industry, it's networking and is a good one.
Yeah, definitely. You kind of stumbled into games as well, but clearly it's kind of been a massively positive career path for you. If you didn't take that opportunity 7 years ago, where do you think you'd be, and what do you think you'd be doing?
One of the areas of my job which I probably love the most is organising all the events at Outerdawn. We've done some pretty cool ones, and I think I probably might have wanted to try my hand at event management. And if it wasn't that, then I'd probably do something crazy like join the circus. Because outside of games I am an aerialist, and I love aerial hoop. So if money wasn't what we needed in order to live and eat, then I would have run away to the circus.
I mean, that sounds really fun. And I suppose everyone has kind of like things that if money wasn't an option, if it was a viable career path, then they'd be straight on it. But I suppose doing people operations for Outerdawn isn't so bad at the end of the day. So what's your career highlight been then? Obviously, I imagine being part of building a company from the ground up is one in itself. But is there any specific things that have happened along the way that have kind of stood out to you?
As you said, starting up a company from the ground up is an achievement in and of itself, and I don't know if I'll actually get that opportunity again. But another career highlight which happened earlier on in my employment at Outerdawn, which was actually Artrix at the time, is I was awarded a top 10 employee out of 500. So our CEO has a parent company in China, and they had a big annual event, and I was invited along, and it was great to meet everyone over there, but I had no idea that I was going to be given an award. So that was pretty great night, actually, to be given that and to be recognized for doing that, because obviously my first year was quite tough. I started on my own, and then I was able to build it up. So be recognized, yeah, that made me feel pretty good about myself.
It shows that not only is it an award in itself, but it shows that you're specifically, the work that you're doing has been noticed as well, which I imagine is a really nice feeling. The thing that you wish you knew, you would have liked it if you had a mentor to kind of guide you into the industry and into your role a bit more. Is that something that you have opportunity to do in your role for other people at the moment?
Well, if I had an HR team, I would love to be a mentor to someone. And if we grow, if we continue to grow, then that'll be something that I would probably like to advocate for. I mean, for the moment, I'm able to handle everyone, but I would love the opportunity to be able to impart everything that I've sort of learnt, and because I've really had to learn it for myself, which there's pros and cons to that, but I think that was the perfect way for me to learn. I love being thrown in the deep end and just sort of seeing what I can do, and I thrive under that type of environment because I'm able to learn so many like new and different things, and if I'm able to pass that on to someone, I think that'd be pretty cool.
7 years at Outerdawn, now in 2022, just coming out off the back of a couple of the COVID years and stuff like that. Is there what's your kind of plans for the future, either at Outerdawn or just in general? There's
quite a lot that hinges on how well our games do. I think if we were able to finally hit a success, there's almost like there's no boundaries to what we can actually do or what we're actually capable of. And it's nice to be able to sort of dream that in itself. We've got this really cool and massive office. It'd be great to fill it with more people. It just opens up new opportunities for so many things. For me personally, I don't know. I mean, it's crazy to think if I was to ever go anywhere else. I can't really imagine that right now. Some days I think I can't believe I've been here 7 years. I still remember my very first day, and it's like I started not that long ago. Like these 7 years have gone by so fast. I blinked and now I'm here.
Yeah, Caley, that's been really interesting. But I will have to wrap it up there though. But thank you very much for talking to me today.
Yeah, no trouble.
Great, yeah. So if you are interested in working with people like Caley at Outerdawn, then please do get in touch. Obviously, you can contact us by email or by call. But until then, I've been your host, Michael Rugby, with Caley Staveley from Outerdawn. Thank you very much for listening.